Well, good evening, everybody. How you doing? All right, let's check it out. Looks like I got audio, and looks like it's fairly clear. Looking at the stream, that's a new concern I have now. Every time I go live, is to try and determine whether the I've got a good connection to StreamYards, but doesn't look too bad tonight. So means I don't have to start all over again. I have a guest in the green room, our new friend Chris, quite a FPV drone pilot that I checked out some of his videos, and I'm jealous, but I'll bring him in a couple minutes. Let me say hi to everybody first. We had today Chris Hope takes home the trophy for the first in the chat at 4:19 p.m. Followed shortly thereafter by Jody, who was wondering how somebody else beat him. But sorry, Jody, you're usually number one. But for some reason, Chris was like, the minute I posted or created this video, Chris was right there. So at any rate, Chris and Jody were the early birds. Arizona Drone Dude came in and said hi a little early. How you doing? And so we got EBR from across the pond. Michael McReynolds, how are you? Thanks for coming in. Tomas O'Sullivan is here. We got EBR and Ed. Love my drones. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Brian at BMAX Area Visuals is here. Hi, Brian. Good to see you. And the rest of that is everybody just saying hello to each other. But that's good. Off to a nice little start on this Thursday. I was a little disappointed yesterday in the launch, and I'm sorry to see that it didn't go off. But maybe it'll go off on on Saturday, and if not, maybe Sunday. Anyway. Let me not keep my guest waiting. Bring him in. Say hello. Everybody say hello to, there you go. Turn it sideways. Better. That's Chris, and we were introduced to Chris last Sunday on the FPV workshop, and I put Chris on my list, and here he is. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Doing great, man. I checked out some of your videos, man.
Yeah, I got a couple, not too many, but
yeah, but if you know, for as short a time as you've been doing this, do you have any RC experience before, or did you just start right out?
RC cars, but no, nothing flight.
Oh, okay. That.
Oh, I lied. I did have a Blade 300 collective pitch helicopter. But
oh, okay. Well, if you can fly a helicopter, that's a big help. In fact, the quads are much closer to helicopters than they are to fixed-wing airplanes in the way they fly, especially in the way you need to handle the yaw axis. In an airplane, you know, the tail kind of follows it around without you doing too much. You know, you could give a little bit of rudder to make the turns a little coordinated, but by and large, you bank the airplane, the tail's going to follow around. In a helicopter, that's not so. In a helicopter, you got to drive the tail. You got to drive the tail. You can go
sideways, whatever.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's why a helicopter is very, very helpful in learning to fly drones. But that one video that you did out there at the FIT? What's that building out there on I-4? The one that looks like whalebones. Polytech, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That is, I've been by that building 100 times, and I never flew it, but it's incredible, and you reminded me of the Star Wars scene when you were flying down that channel there.
Yeah, that was my first time flying there. I was a little sketched out flying there.
Oh, I'll
But
bet. I'll bet. And the construction site. I didn't realize they were built. What are they? Is that an addition to the campus they're building there, or?
I'm not really sure. It looked like a parking garage at first, but then it looks like just more building.
Let me. Would you mind if I show a little of that on my show here?
No,
Of that
have at it.
video?
No, go
Okay.
ahead.
Let me find your channel here. Your channel is just Me Hop. Is that the name of your channel?
Yes, sir.
There it is, and this is the video here. So let me, and I want to mute it out because I don't want. I don't know what kind of music you used. Have you ever got? Where'd you get the music that you put on this thing?
I was free music from Filmora.
Oh, okay. So it was free music. So I won't get any copyright strikes. Is it licensed to you in any way?
No, not that I know of. I just
Yeah.
they
I'll
give
tell you what I'll
a
do.
listing of music you can add to your videos, and
Oh, okay. I'll play. I'll just go ahead and run the video here, and we can talk about it. So let me go over here to because I thought this was exceptional flying, man, for somebody that's only been flying for what'd you say, a year and a half?
yes, sir. Like right at a
That's
year and a half.
that's incredible. That's incredible. So anyway, let me get this started here, and you can I'll make it bigger. There we go. You might want to. So you started out. You started out here on the in the construction area.
Yes, sir. Just trying to find lines and just going with however I threw the quad.
Yeah, and I mean I like the way you were going down through the top of that structure, and you got a nice crane to dive. I mean, what a sight! But this isn't the main attraction of the site. The main attraction of the site is the building next to this construction site off there that looks like a big white whale. But no, I was really impressed impressed with the flying. Now, what quad were you flying here?
It's a Armatan Badger.
Oh, okay, 5 inch, huh?
Yes, sir. 6S, X rotor, 60 amp stack, crossfire, receiver, and video transmitter.
Now, was this on a Sunday or something?
I want to say it was a Saturday.
You got real close to there in that last little.
No, my buddy was coming the opposite direction.
Oh, was he? Okay. Oh, you were
Yes,
out
sir.
there
That's
flying
why.
two at one time, huh?
Oh, we had three. We had three
Oh,
up
no-
when I was
no
taking this
kidding.
video. Yes, sir.
Was that there? It is. That reminds me of the Star Wars scene where he dropped the bomb in the hole. You know, flying down the trench. But
Yeah.
what a beautiful sight to fly.
Yeah, I caught a glimpse of him because his quad was black and I seen it against the white. So then I bailed out, and luckily I didn't
okay.
clip the top of it.
Very cool. Put your put a link to your channel in the chat. Your a link not just to this video, but to your channel itself, because some of these guys I'm sure would love to subscribe to.
Some reason it's not. I'm new to.
All right. As soon
You
as
know,
I,
on a
as soon
chat
as,
like
as
this,
soon as I
so-
get okay. Well, when I say put it in the chat, are you actually can you actually see the chat from the or you just have one device? You're actually you're not looking at the video on YouTube.
I can
the
crank my
stream.
computer up.
Yeah, if you pull up the stream on YouTube, then you can monitor the chat. Just make sure you don't have the audio. Make sure you don't have the audio on. And but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get out of this, and I'm going to get a link to that video that we just saw, and if nothing else, that'll put it in the chat, and that there you go. Okay. Ed at Love My Drones got your link for you and put it
Oh,
up.
awesome. Thank you.
So thank you, Ed. Thank you very much. All right, let me take a second here and catch up with the chat. Jaybird is here. Jaybird, how come Jaybird is not blue like everybody else? Well, we have to fix that. Jaybird, there you are. Okay, we will give you a blue wrench, my friend, and now you can fit in with the rest of us. So good to see you. And Chris Hope is back. How you doing? Drone Days is here. Good to see you, Drone Days. EBR, EMAX, Jaybird, Ed, Happy Lux. How you doing, my friend? Another one from across the pond. Good to see you.
Have you seen some of EBR's videos?
Oh yeah, every day.
Oh, he's got some good flying too.
EBR is. I joke about. I say he's the most prolific YouTube FPV poster on the planet. I don't think there's another human being that posts as many flight videos as he does. If there is, let me know, but I don't think so. And Gary Brand Aerials is here. Good to see you. And I sent out a bunch of links. So come on, guys, come on in. Mike Roche is here. Mike Roche, haven't seen you in a few weeks. You're invited as well. So, because I got very little to talk about tonight, because it's been just boring as hell. And I don't know if the rest of you feel that way, but how about you, Chris? Do you work?
Oh, yes, sir. Just got off a couple hours ago. Doing construction. That's just all I really know.
Okay, so you got plenty of construction sites to fly, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mostly over in Tampa.
Yes, sir. Wesley, up in Wesley Chapel. I was
Okay.
I want to say I was flying my job site yesterday, just goofing off, and then flying through the house and some other stuff. I was trying to edit the video if there's any good footage.
Cool. So, you're flying through the construction site house.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, okay. You don't fly 5-inch quads in your own house, do you?
I do my hover test in the house.
Well, hover test. That's okay. Yeah.
I have done like snap rolls and snap flips, but then I got a little squirrely, so I quit.
Yeah. They can really leave a permanent mark on drywall.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh yeah, like right through to the studs. Paulie, Drone Bum is here. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. So yeah, I have, being retired, it's I have had nothing to do. The weather, I don't know how the weather's been over there, but over here on the East Coast, it has sucked.
Oh, it's all coming from you guys over to us now.
Is it? It has
Yes,
been
sir.
for the past 4 or 5 days. Cloudy, rainy, windy, and they tried to get that rocket off yesterday, and damn if they didn't get themselves stuck. You saw, I don't know if you watched it.
Oh no, I didn't watch it, but my buddy, he flies commercial aircraft, and he was up in the air close to the place, and he was upset because they didn't launch, and he was like, I don't know how many thousand feet, but he was already in the air, and then that'd have been awesome to see from the cockpit, freaking the launch. But yeah, he was a little upset about that.
I did that once, Chris.
What's that?
Went up in an airplane to film a shuttle, a space shuttle launch. Yeah, and I have it somewhere on some old videotape, because I had a handheld video camera.
Yeah.
I was flying. I was flying a. I'll show you what I was flying here. Let's see if I can find it. I got all these pictures. There we go. This takes me way back, but this is what I was flying.
Oh wow, biplane.
Yeah, single seat. That's
awesome.
me. That's me. It's got to be in the early 80s. Early 80s, probably almost 40 years ago. At any rate, and the space shuttle was going up, and so I went up in this thing. You know, one hand on the stick, the other hand on the camera, with the little video camera. And,
If it was early '80s, that was a big camera then.
no, it actually was an 8mm. Was one of the first smaller cameras. It might have been mid '80s. Anyway, I'm trying to place when I had that biplane. It's all getting to be so long ago. It all just kind of comes together. It might have been closer to 1990. Come to think of it, but anyway, the shuttle was going up, and so I went up there. And back in those days, you had to you talked to Patrick Air Force Base, and of course once I took off, and I you know where Sanford, Florida is? It's just north of Orlando. That was when you go out of Orlando on the way to Daytona Beach on I-4. That's where Sanford is, and they have an airport at Sanford. That's now called the Orlando North Airport. It's an international airport, but back in the days when I flew out of there,
yeah, I passed it when I came out. When I was flying out your way, I think I passed it. I went through it. Sorry.
Yeah. At any rate, the airport, it's north of town. You would have to go through Orlando, almost on the way to Daytona Beach, and you won't pass it on I-4. It's called the Orlando Sanford International Airport, or Orlando North. Anyway. Back then, they had an old hokey control tower, wooden control tower left over from World War II, when it used to be a Navy base, and a couple of small town controllers. They had a little restaurant and bar out there on the field with a pool table in it, and a bunch of tea hangers where we used to keep our airplanes and things. And so you take off out of Sanford, fly over to the coast, and once you got fairly close to the coast, you call up Patrick Air Force Base, and they actually controlled the airspace, and at that time, you could, as the intercoastal that runs through, is split by Merritt Island, and the intercoastal on the east side is called the Banana River. And you could fly, as long as you stayed on the west side of the Banana River, you could be up in the air near a shuttle launch. And I mean, less than 10 miles from the pad. Today or yesterday, they put up a 35-mile TFR around the Cape. And even way down here in Melbourne, I was inside that TFR, which means that my drone, if I wanted to fly a Mavic, it would tell me it couldn't take off because...
the geofences.
Yeah, because at any rate, back in those days, you could do it. So you had no idea. You take off in the hopes that the thing is going to get off the ground. And, in the space shuttle program, they had a 50% batting average. If you added up all the shuttle attempts and all the actual launches, some of them went more than 2, but on average it was for every 2 times they tried, one of them went off. One of them was scrubbed for various reasons, either weather, technical, or something. So I'm up there flying around, And I see the thing. I could see the thing on the pad as clear as day, and I'm just flying up and down the Banana River, and there's only 2 or 3 airplanes in the whole sky up there. And Patrick, Air Force, the controller at Patrick was doing the countdown for us, which was really cool. And he was telling us that when it was going to go off, and sure enough, it went off. And I actually caught it. And I have to, every time I talk about this, I swear I'm going to go try to dig this piece of tape and make it digital. I don't even know if I have a camera anymore that'll play this tape, but somehow I need to get it onto digital, because I have the shuttle gone up, and then at the very end, the last shot of the smoke trail is looking between the 2 wings of the biplane. In other words, I banked the biplane up, and as you look between the 2 wings, out past the support strut at the other end, you could see the space shuttle smoke trail up there, and it was the coolest damn thing, and it would be a hell of a video. So somebody kick me in the ass and make me go look for that, because it really.
Well, you just got done saying you're retired, so.
Yeah, but I have a huge box full of these things, of these videotapes, and the only thing that, and this is going to sound strange, but the only thing that keeps me from going back over all these videotapes is my ex-wife is on some of them, and it's painful for me to actually, after what happened, what I went through in that marriage, to get out of that marriage, and what it's very painful to even bring her to mind, let alone have to look at her. So I tend to not want to look at any old photo albums or videos for fear I might have to look at her. So that's a terrible thing to say, but that's the way life is. But that was the amazing thing about that biplane is that I didn't kill myself in it. I mean, seriously. I've flown a lot. I have a lot of flying time as a pilot. I've flown a lot of different kinds of airplanes, and on up from anything from ultralights, amphibious ultralights off of water, on up to Cessna Citation business jets, and nothing ever scared me like this single seat biplane did. It was. I don't know. I bought it on a lark. It was a home built. Some guy. It was a kit, not a kit, but a home built airplane. Some guy built this thing, and it flew like a brick. It really flew like a brick. You wore, of course, you had to wear a parachute in it when you flew it, because it was considered it's an aerobatic airplane, so you wore a parachute in it, but. It was the only Carlos is here. I can always count on Carlos for a snide remark. Nothing scares Mitch, but he won't fly through trees with a 5-inch quad. Go figure, he says. Thanks, Carlos. But I have flown through trees with a 5-inch quad. I just don't do a lot of it. At any rate, this thing did scare the shit out of me. It would not glide power off.
Oh.
If
so it
you
just
lost
started
power,
dropping.
You'd have to put the nose. You could fly, but there's no way you could have landed it. In other words, if you tried to flare, it would have just pancaked. You couldn't keep the. There was something wrong with it. I don't know what it was. I look back at this airplane and it was probably, when you're younger. Here, I'll put the picture of it back up here for you, so you can see it again. When you're young, you're immortal. And I was a pretty good pilot. So I said, and interestingly enough, normally when you have an airplane that you haven't flown before. I had it annualed. I mean, I had the mechanics at the field look it all over, but it was an experimental aircraft. It was placarded as experimental, home built. I had it annual so that, it was legal. Everything checked out, all the controls, everything checked out fine. I taxied it around a while, but it was a single seat. Now, normally, if you got an airplane you're not familiar with, you've never flown it before, and you want to get checked out in it, you usually go up with a pilot who's familiar with the airplane. Let them check you out. But there's no way to go up with another pilot in this thing. So it took me quite a while. So because I'm a cautious guy in most respects, and I'm cautious with my models. But in this case, I had this airplane. I got it all ready to go, and it's sitting in the hangar. And I had 3 airplanes at the time. I had a twin-engine Cessna 310 and a 2-seater ultralight, a Buccaneer ultralight that was amphibious. You could fly it, land it on the water or land. And I had this thing. So I didn't have to fly it, but I wanted to fly it. So I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I may have told this story before, but I'll tell it again. So I say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just do some high-speed taxi tests, because not only is it a single-seat airplane, but it's a tail dragger, and that makes it more difficult to take off and land, because you don't have nose wheel steering, you got the tail wheel. And not only is it a tail wheel steering, but it's what they call short coupled. The arm on the tail is not very big, so your rudder tends to whip you back and forth like this if you're not careful. If you if you give it a little too much rudder, you're going to be going like this down the runway, and you can do what they call a ground loop, where you actually just spin around this way.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So I said, all right, I'm going to go out there, and I'm just going to do some high-speed taxis. Not quite a takeoff, but I'm going to get up to speed, enough speed where I actually get the tail up off the ground, and I'm just running along on the 2 main gear. Because when you fly a tail dragger, when you first give it power, you push forward on the stick, and that gives you upward force on the tail. And as soon as that tail comes off the ground, the torque of the engine wants to spin the airplane to the, so you got to give it rudder to counteract the torque, and that's when you can over control. So I said, I'm just going to practice getting the tail up and heading down the runway and on the 2 wheels. So what they do is the tower actually clears you for takeoff, because you're out there on a runway. You've taken the active runway. This is at a big airport, 10,000-foot runway. And a guy clears me for takeoff, and he knows I had told him that I was just going to do a high-speed taxi, but they still got to clear you for takeoff, because there's a chance you might take off, and take off I did. I didn't mean to take off.
Oh, goodness.
So, get the tail up, we're rolling along, all of a sudden, I'm flying. So I had a choice. I could try to, I still had plenty of runway. I said, I could have landed it back down, and stopped, but it was flying and nothing had fallen off of it. So I said, well, what the hell? So off I went, and I spent about a half hour up at 1,500 feet orbiting the airport. That's what you tell them you want to do. Just want to orbit the airport. In other words, I kept in a position where if something happened and I lost the engine, at that time I didn't know that it glided like a brick, but I figured, well, if I lose the engine, I'll make the runway, no problem. You know what I mean? I wasn't really worried about it. Yeah,
You thought.
When I orbited, got the feel of the airplane, and it flew pretty good. It felt, I'd flown biplanes before, and it felt pretty typical. And then I said, all right, we're going to try to land, and I did a landing pattern, and I'm on final, and I pulled the power back, and that thing just started sinking. I mean,
Oh, goodness.
tremendous sink rate. And I said, well, that's not right. So you add power. When you're flying a regular airplane, you use your elevator control to maintain your airspeed, which is is controlled by your pitch attitude, and your descent rate is controlled by the amount of power that you put in. So I'm flying the final approach of this thing at 30-40% throttle, which is, it should, at a certain point, you should be able to pull the throttle all the way back when you get down to the last 100 feet or so and just kind of glide in and flare. But I had to actually I had to land with power, land right on through the landing with power. And I didn't pull the power back till I was rolling down the runway. And I didn't fly it a lot. It was difficult, and I didn't fly it a lot after that. I
gave it up.
No, I did fly it. I did fly it over to the Cape that day because I thought it'd be cool to photograph the shuttle from the biplane, and I flew it out. We had a grass field where we flew ultralights out of, and I flew it in and out of there a couple times. But I really, I had a healthy respect for that airplane, and finally sold it, and sold it to a guy up near Washington, D.C., and a buddy of mine asked me if he could fly it up there to deliver it to the guy in Washington. He wanted to fly it. He was a hell of an aerobatic pilot. I mean, this guy was air show quality. I mean, air show aerobatic pilot, a real professional. So he flew the airplane up to Washington, D.C. When he got back, he looked at me and he said, that airplane scares the shit out of me. and that from a guy who's one of the finest pilots I've ever met. So at any rate, that's the story of that. And where the hell is everybody tonight? Chris, they're leaving us alone here. All these guys that usually come in. Carlos, Ed, get in here, will you? Come on, buddy.
You got me more and more interested in getting my plane going. You seen last time?
That plane? Yeah. Who we got coming here? We got Rick Halber and John Coopy is in here. Hiya, John. How you doing? Who else did I miss? I saw was Ron Lockwood in here? I thought I saw somebody say hi to Ron. But yeah, come on, guys. If you don't have the link, let me know. I'll post it. Paul Phantom Hodges drone. Paul's had a couple of different ultralights. I'll be damn. Owned a Lazier and a Beaver. I don't know what they are, Paul. I'll show you what I. Since nobody's coming here to talk, I got nothing to talk about because I've had enough of the Mavic Air 2 discussions and videos. Had enough Mavic Mini discussions. I see we're now starting with the Mavic 3. Guess what a Mavic 3 is videos. But
that was a Mavic 3?
Yeah, the Mavic 3 is the latest rumor. DJI has got a new rumor every day, and that's how they.
What do you know about iFlight and DJI?
You mean as far as the FPV stuff?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, DJI is iFlight's building some drones with the DJI FPV system on it. Everybody is now.
Well,
is that what you mean?
No, what I was hearing before was iFlight was pretty much, let's say DJI was Infinity and iFlight was the Nissan. Like they're like lower company, but they were like sisters.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I hadn't heard that. Hey, yo, Adrian.
How you doing, Mitch?
I'm doing good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, boss man? The gentleman, what's your name, boss?
Chris.
Oh, no, Chris.
How you doing, Chris? My name is Adrian, man.
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a pleasure being here, Mitch.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Can you turn? You got your phone? Can you turn it sideways?
Yes, I can.
Hey, there you go. Now you're big. That's great. How you been, man?
Yes, I'm doing pretty good. I literally just got up for work just now.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What have you been up to?
And I was checking the old email and I seen your invitation, so I had to come and hop in.
Good to see you. You haven't been in here. You haven't been here in a little while. It's nice to see you.
It's been a little while, Mitch. I'm very
Yeah,
busy, but I gotta make a little bit of time for everything,
and Adrian, I don't know why everybody likes to bust on you so much. I know if when you and Jim get together from Above and Beyond Drones, it's a bust fest. But Ed
I
Ed is
mean,
all. Ed, Love My Drones is already says, "Oh Lord, you'll let anyone in here."
yeah. But I mean, if you think about it, Jim, he messes with me the same way I mess with him, so I get the
I know.
feeling it's mutual.
I love it. I know. I think it's great. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Uh, I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised. I haven't seen Jim tonight. I know Carlos is out there, but he hasn't come in. Paulie's has got to run. All right, Paul. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Good to see you. And Stingray Aerial Solutions. How you doing?
How, how you
He
doing,
was
Stingray
busted.
Ariel? He was on my live stream last night that I had with them. As a matter of fact, Jim, Matt, and some other guys went ahead and hopped in last night on my live stream.
I didn't know you had a live stream. How come I don't get? I have to check my make sure that I get the bell rung. I had it, but I don't
Yeah,
get many notifications. I don't know if YouTube has just decided that I'm not worthy of
I,
notifications anymore
I,
or what.
I, I think YouTube is doing it to everybody, Mitch. Because lately I haven't been getting yours either. Um, I didn't even get this one either. I just literally just went into my email just to check it for the heck of it, and that's when I seen your invitation to the show.
Huh. Yeah, I don't understand what the hell, but who who are we to try to figure out what the hell Google's doing? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I do have a question, Mitch.
Yeah.
And Chris, do you have any news on the reason why Altel Evo and DJI were actually suing each other because of the propeller patent, all that good stuff? Do you have any update on that?
Well, I don't really follow that stuff too much. I leave that to Bill the drone reviewer and that crowd. But the last I heard, Adrian, was that some judge had ruled that those patents that Autel was claiming should never have been issued. In other words,
Okay.
they ruled that even though they were given a patent, there was nothing patentable in those
Oh,
patents. They basically said those
Okay.
patents in legalese translated into the way we speak, the judge basically said, those patents, they're bullshit. And because they're
Okay.
bullshit,
Okay.
number one, we don't understand why anybody would give you a patent like that. You must have been in the pocket, had the patent clerk in your pocket or whatever. And number
Yeah.
two, since the patents are bullshit, we're not going to let you enforce them. Now, that's where it
oh
stands
wow.
now. That's where it stands now. And that was a big win for DJI. But, in the courts, nothing is ever final. Nothing's ever final. Because whenever a judge rules something, the lawyers just appeal it. And then it goes to the next
Okay.
highest court. And eventually, it has to get to the Supreme Court, or if they keep pushing it hard enough. And the Supreme Court is not going to hear a patent case between two Chinese drone companies, so you forget that. So it's going to work its way up to some federal court where. But I think the upshot of it is that nobody is going to be denied the right to sell their drones in the United States, especially DJI.
Co-
That's
correct.
where it
Correct.
stands. Yeah, that's where it stands now. But here, to get the true skinny on this, is the man that knows virtually everything about DJI, Carlos.
Ta-da! Good evening. Hi, Mitch.
Hi, Carl. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing,
Good.
Carlos?
What's up, Chris? What's up, Adrian? So, how are
Hey,
you, Mitch?
Carlos.
What's up, Chris?
So I was
So,
getting an ultralight picture up here for who was it? Paul said that he had ultralights. Way
Paul's
back.
gone. Drone Bum is gone if it was him.
No, not that Paul. Paul Phantom Hodges drone.
Ah, he's here.
Somebody said that he he had a couple of ultralights at one point, and God, is there that much? Is there that much going on in the chat? At any? Oh yeah, here it is. It was Phantom Hodges drone. So at any rate, Paul, this was a really fun one. This was a Buccaneer XA, a single seat ultralight amphibious, and
Amphibious, huh? That's
yeah,
cool.
you could land on. It had landing gear, and you could land it on the landing gear just plugged in, and then when you unplugged them, they hung up on the side, and it's very hard to see, but right there, I don't know if you can see it. It might be a little fuzzy. There's a wheel. See the wheel up right down the bottom of my face. See where the helmet is up there? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, right below the helmet is a wheel, and it's on the end of an axle that's connected through a tube in the fuselage with a bungee. And you lean out the window and you grab a hold of that axle and you rotate it and you plug it into the hole in the side. See the hole down there? It's got a square around it.
Keep the water out of it.
Well, no, the water goes right through to the other side. It's sealed off, but the actual tube that the landing gear goes, is a metal tube that goes clear through the fuselage and is sealed at both ends, so the water can't get into the fuselage. But the landing gear hangs on the
Fuselage.
And here's a picture of what it looks like. Let me get this. When it's down on the ground. Now on this picture, unfortunately the landing gear is behind the float that's hanging down off the bottom of the wing. So I'm trying to see if I got another
pretty
picture.
cool.
Here we go. There it is. Okay, it's still. Anyway, you can see right down there is the landing gear, and the tube. I'm standing in front of it. Plugs in, and if you can see that wire-looking thing that goes up to the strut, that's so that if you drop the landing gear, it doesn't fall off the airplane. It's actually a safety wire to hold it. And there's a hanger. Right up here where you just hang that. When you pull the wheel out, you just hang it up. It's the hokiest thing in the world, but it's an ultralight. It weighed less than 250 pounds.
Wow.
Oh goodness.
And it was a legitimate ultralight. This had a ballistic parachute in it, and a strobe on top, a Rotax engine, and it was a blast. And on this particular day, this was my model airplane club flying field. Every once in a while, they had a 300-foot runway. I'd tool over to the model airplane field in the ultralight, landed on the runway there at
That's pretty cool.
at the field. That was pretty cool. So that was one of the ultralights, and then the other ultralight that I had, Paul, was
How do you transport that if you had to? You fold it?
you don't. You fly it. You fly
Oh, you
it.
have to fly it. Okay.
Now this was the second, and this is legally, it wasn't an ultralight. Legally, it was a 2-seat airplane, and it had to be registered experimental, and it was a Buccaneer 2-seater. Which one is this one?
Right now.
There it is. That's the Buck 2 there. And the landing gear on this, actually, you had a lever inside, and they would kind of lift up like that and go down like that. And you didn't have to reach out and grab them. But that thing would actually take 2 people. But it was an experimental aircraft, so you needed to go through all the legalities of annual inspections. You had to have all the radios in it to fly it. You had to have a pilot's license to fly it, whereas, believe it or not, the other one, you could fly, since it was a legal ultralight, you could fly without a pilot's license. But
Wow.
that was a fun airplane, too. I don't know if I have any more pictures.
I got a couple of questions for you, Mitch.
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to the first one you actually showed us, first of all, you said it weighs less than 250 pounds.
Right.
Okay.
This one.
So I'm assuming you weigh more than the plane.
Yeah, but well, I didn't. But when they certify airplanes, it's the airplane plus fuel, but they don't count the weight of the pilot when it comes to, unlike drones
Okay.
where you have to count the weight of the battery. The when you're going to see if an ultralight is legal or not, it has to weigh less than 254 pounds with fuel, and they carried 5 gallons of fuel generally,
That's it. Wow.
So,
and they flew.
Okay,
They flew.
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
Is that a one engine? Is that a one engine or two engines?
No, this is a single engine, and the engine is, if you can see, is up on top,
Yeah.
I
up
see
there
it,
with
yes,
a
sir.
with a pusher propeller, and it's air cooled. On the Buccaneer 2, it was a water cooled engine up top. It had a radiator up there, and it was a water cooled Rotax 4-stroke.
Okay.
How long can you fly
and when
with
you
5
said
gallons of gas?
You could fly for an hour and a half, probably, if I
Wow.
remember correctly. They went about, this airplane went about 50, 55 miles an hour cruising.
Yeah, still.
It was an airplane to just go out and have fun with, and you fly it low over the fields and down the rivers and across the lakes, and it was just it was the closest thing to being a bird that I
Right.
could ever have imagined in one of these things.
So when you said amphibious, does that mean that you could actually land it in land and water?
You can land it on land or on water, and what you did if you landed it on the water, like we used to fly this over to the beach, over to the sandbars on New Smyrna Beach all the time, and you could land it in the water, and while it was in the water, you could grab the landing gear with your hands, plug them in,
Oh wow.
Okay.
and then taxi right up onto the beach, onto the sandbar.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then when you're ready to go again, you taxi down off the sandbar back into the water, pull the gear out of the sockets, hang them up on the hangers, and away you go. So one day we're flying at a lake, and over on the east side of Orlando, there's a whole bunch of us. We had a 5 or 10 of us who used to go flying in gaggles. We just used to go off together, and I take off. And we were flying out of a field. You'll know where this is, right off of Route 27, north of I-4. Chris, 27, which goes down the center of the state. There's a field called the Gator Airfield, and it's an ultralight field. And at the time, I had a little hangar or lean-to out there. I used to keep it out there. We used to go off on Sunday flying from the Gator Field. And we'd fly all over the place. We'd fly down to River Ranch, which is down on Route 60 over by Yeehaw Junction. We'd fly to we'd go different places, an hour, 2 hours, and fly down, low across the treetops and down the rivers. And it was just the most
Sounds
great
awesome.
sense of freedom. It was fabulous. It was fabulous. And somewhere I've got videos of some of this stuff, so I need to get to work finding that.
Yeah, get on it, Mitch.
I mean, I've got videos of me flying low over the ocean out off New Smyrna Beach, taking pictures of the surfers from the ultralight.
Nice.
Yeah, I have tons of that stuff. I just need to find it and get it off of the videotape. I'll have to do that.
Are those same rules apply? You don't need a license for these things?
You don't need a pilot's license if it's an ultralight.
Right.
It's under, yeah.
Wow.
And, but again, that's like the 250 gram drone. It's tough to build one of these things and have it come in under the weight, and that's why they don't carry more fuel. And how many of them are really under 255 pounds? By the time you get done outfitting them with radios and ballistic parachutes and all that stuff, who knows? But what you don't know won't hurt you, I suppose. Anyway, I had a pilot's license, so it really didn't matter. But you didn't need an N number, you didn't need annual inspections, you didn't need all that. You didn't need to have to register the aircraft.
Wow.
As an ultralight. And amazingly, those rules still survived. But what was I was talking about was in the middle of telling a story. What story was
About
that?
your flying over the beach in the water. That's what you were talking about.
Oh yeah.
last.
Oh no, I was telling you the story about how we were all flying together. We were flying off of this lake in East Orlando, and I take and hang my landing gear up on the hooks, and there was like 5 or 6 of us taking off, and the couple of airplanes in front of me took off, but they made quite a wake, you know, and I hit one of those wakes to go to take off and bounced pretty hard, and one of my landing gear fell off the hook.
Ouch.
And evidently the bungee or whatever, the bungee that should have kept it from falling, basically didn't. And my landing gear went away, one side. It went, now because it had a tire on it, it was floating in the water. So I get a radio call from the guy behind me. So you lost your left gear. He says, don't worry, I'll get it. So he taxis over to my landing gear and he picks it up. And at the Gator Field where we were all flying back to, there was a little pond there.
Uh-oh.
A little pond. Now, some guys were able, on just the right day with the right amount of wind, to take off from that pond. But if you had to, you could land in it if you really nailed the approach and you nailed it and you were right going slow enough as you were coming down and you hit the water right near the little edge, you could do it. So I only had one wheel, couldn't land on the runway, so I landed with the one gear up, landed in the pond. Okay, and so now I'm floating in the pond. The other guy lands on the runway, comes running up to me with my wheel. He says, here's your wheel. I say thank you very much, and I put my wheels on the airplane and taxied out of the pond and put my airplane away.
Away in the sky. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about absurd adventures to have with airplanes. That was one of them. But
What would you have done if there was no pond, Mitch?
Oh, I would have landed it on the grass with no wheels. It would have
think you
skid
would've
right.
flipped?
Yeah, you know, this thing's only gone 30, 35 miles an hour when it touches down. It's not really
okay.
fast. And it'll slide like a ski across grass.
Oh wow.
And the
Yeah.
motor, did that go in reverse to slow down?
No.
I was wondering about that with the pond.
No.
So you really have to
No,
hit
you
that
just
pond.
pull it back to idle. Yeah, you pull it back to idle and it comes down. But we used to take off. We used to do that. We used to do touch and goes on the grass with no wheels. If you go out there on a wet morning where the grass was wet, like from dew, it was more fun to take off without wheels than it was with wheels. Yeah.
Definitely bumpy.
Yeah, not too bad. The airplane it got big wings for the size of them, and it's like a flying lawn chair is what it is. It's all aluminum tubing and everything. Really
A
neat.
flying lawn chair.
Yeah,
Yikes.
it's what we used to call them, flying lawn chairs. They were really cool.
Anything in the air.
It brings back memories.
That has to be fun.
It was fun. I miss it. I don't know if I
If you wanted, you can go to an airport, rent a plane, and fly. You're still legal, right? Or no?
we lost Adrian. Anyway, Adrian, come on back in if something happened. He must have lost his connection. I'm legal, but I'm not current,
Stop.
Carlos.
Okay.
Not current.
So does that mean a physical or a test?
Both.
Got it.
Now, I can fly myself without a physical. I can fly myself.
Oh, I see. No passengers.
I just can't take passengers. Yeah.
Got it.
And it's just the same way as a student pilot can solo before he gets his license. He just can't take passengers. He has to go up with, if there's anybody else in the airplane, they got to be a licensed pilot. Kind of like drone flying.
Sorry
when
about
you're-
that, Mitch. I got disconnected.
Oh, I figured that's all right. We figured you'd come back, get a chance to play musical squares a little bit, shuffle it around. You know.
I have a client that threatens to take me for a ride on his plane.
What
My
kind of
ex-wife
plane?
1 year on a Cessna. think he has a Cessna, single engine. But I remember many years ago, my ex-wife, for my birthday, as an ex-wife, gave me a certificate for me and my son to go fly. You know, to learn how to fly, a free lesson. But he never wanted to go, so I never took advantage of it. I was kind of disappointed.
Really?
He said it was too great. I thought it would have been a good opportunity. I wasn't sure if she wanted me dead, though. You know, put me on a plane. Just made me think.
That's funny. Yeah. You have to wonder about that.
Why do you want me up in the air a few thousand feet for the first time?
That's funny.
But we'll see. I jumped out of a plane once, 3,000 feet. That was fun.
I've
With a
never
static
done that.
line. That's
Okay,
an
Carlos, that sounds
experience.
crazy.
Yeah, not me.
The experience
Not
of
me.
falling, just gliding down. It's great.
Pilots. I've said this before. Pilots tend to, their attitude is, why would you want to jump out of a perfectly good
Perfectly
airplane?
good plane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
And
I think it's a great hobby that you're able to, or a great talent. I don't know, what is that? Just that you're able to go up in the air and fly. I think that's so cool. Like pilots, when you think about what they do and what they're doing, I think it's pretty amazing. And
yeah, it's like, becomes like it's like being a glorified bus driver after a while. My original idea was to be an airline pilot way back in 1970 when I started looking.
Like
there was
commercial pilot, Mitch?
I have a commercial license, multi-engine, instrument rating, and instructor and instrument instructor. So I have all the ratings. And I was a flight instructor for about a year and a half up in Manassas, Virginia, just building hours, looking for a job. But at the time, in 1970, the Vietnam War was winding down. Thousands of military pilots were hitting the job market. Guys with, experience and hours that I couldn't touch, flying heavy jet, aircraft and tens of thousands of hours. So there was no getting an airline job for Mitch, and I finally just gave up on it and just became a flyer for my own, pilot for my own benefit. Yeah. So we got Chris. You're in here twice now. Which one?
Yeah, I'm about to jump off my phone. I'm about to jump
Okay.
off my phone, the one that just popped up.
All right, jump off of one of them so I know which one is left.
All right.
All right. So here
You know,
we
it
are.
was funny
There we
earlier.
go. Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to do away
I
with
was
the
reading
wrong
the
one.
chat, and Chris Hope said hello, Carlos, but I wasn't on there. It was Chris. I wonder if he realized that.
Chris Hope is here.
What's up, Chris?
So Paul, Phantom Hydrodrone, is jumping out of airplanes too, it looks like.
Yeah. I didn't get to free fall though.
10 years. No, the closest I ever came to parachute jumping was wearing a parachute when I flew aerobatic airplanes. And I still have the parachute in my closet.
Did you pack them or you had somebody pack them?
Well, once a year you had to have them recertified, and so I would take it to a place.
Once a year, you had to have them recertified.
Somebody's got some sound on. Was that you, Chris?
Yeah, that was me goofing off.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Trying to be
Okay.
in the live chat, and
Well, just keep the audio muted on your stream. That's all.
I just turned it
On the
down.
YouTube. Yeah. I mean, I like to hear myself talk. So it's okay.
Well, you got old video that you can sit there. Anyways.
Yeah, I can watch myself. I tell you, I watch like Ken Herron does too, and I watch a replay of all these live streams, and mainly for the purpose of reading the chat, because a lot of times talking, I'm looking at you guys about looking at what's going on in the chat. Because then I stop and I start
Carlos,
looking,
Carlos,
ahead.
I got a couple of questions for you.
Go for it.
You said that it was fun jumping out of a plane at 3,000 feet. I'm terrified of roller coaster, let alone a plane. So, were you that when you did it? Were you like with an instructor, or did you do it by yourself?
When when I jumped, there was the pilot and the person telling me, what steps I should do. And then once you jump by yourself with a static line. So when you jump, the parachute is pulled and opened for you.
Okay,
But you
okay,
still have
gotcha.
to look up
So
and make sure.
it wasn't free falling.
No,
You
no,
didn't
no,
do
no.
it, and you didn't do a tandem jump where they strapped you
No,
to
that
in
was-
front of a guy who was,
Yeah, that's way
Yeah,
too
no,
close to somebody.
and they teach you how to land. They teach you what you need to do.
I did a 6-hour class before this,
Cool. Well, I hope so.
so I had to wait. Yeah. And let me tell you, the strut of the plane, they had me open the door on the side, and they said, not step out. They tell you to just hang your feet out of the plane. So I don't know about you, but I've never sat on a plane while it's going 100 and some miles an hour, and then you sit on the side of it. It was just that alone was like an experience. And then they
Oh,
have
man.
a plate. They have a plate maybe about, I'd say, maybe 18-inch square, maybe smaller. And what they have you do is hold on to the strut of the plane and step out on that plate while the plane is flying. So you're basically like on the side of the plane on that plate. And then I have
That's
to
crazy.
I have to get myself to the side of the plane like I'm hanging like a flag and working my way to the end of the plane, I guess to clear the back wing. And then they had an X.
Yeah, that might hurt.
They had an X on the top, underneath the wing, and the instructions was, he said, look up, you look at the X, and then let go and make an X with your body, and then you would fall off. But I mean, the whole process to get out of that plane, it was like something out of Fear Factor. It was amazing. And once you're out, you have a walkie-talkie, and then they tell you, where to pull. It was those, the rectangular.
Oh yeah, so you
tape.
actually, you
can
can
steer.
steer it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then when you're ready to flare, you pull both of them, right?
Right, and then you
Yeah.
stall and you land. I walked out of it. It was nice. It was a great
Cool.
feeling.
And you had no desire to do it again?
Nope, they give you a certificate. It says first jump certificate, and I told the guy you should have put first and last jump certificate.
First and last, yeah. You did 2 jumps. You got 2 jumps for the price of 1.
Let
Your
me tell
first and your last, yeah.
you know what it was? I always wanted to do it, but my son was pretty much just born. He was like a year and change, but I just said let's try, just in case. I was insured then, well insured.
That's funny. That's
But
funny.
it's a great experience if you
I've
can.
never had the desire to do that. We used to, right north of Orlando's, a city of DeLand. Chris, you've heard of DeLand, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, DeLand Airport is a small town airport, but it's a skydiving mecca, like Lake Wales. Lake Wales Airport is also, and Lake Wales is at Route 60 and 27. That's also a mecca for big skydiving operations. So every time I took off north out of Sanford, 15 miles north, 10, 15 miles north of where I took off was the DeLand Airport. And every time I flew north, I had to concern myself with skydivers all over the friggin' sky.
Oh wow.
And having seen these skydivers all over the sky and how close I came to some of them at certain times, I decided that that's not a good place that I would want to be skydiving. Because they forget to announce themselves on the radio.
Wow.
The controllers forget to tell you that there's an act. So you got to really keep your eye out for them.
You would think that would be a priority for a skydiver to announce, I'm
You think
free
so?
falling
Yes.
by an airplane.
Well, the skydivers don't
By
have
airplane.
radios, but the
With the
pilots do. But occasionally they'll forget to.
Yeah, but
Make
the
that
pilots
radio
are
announcement.
responsible for the skydivers until they leave the plane, correct?
I
Thousand.
other than as a pilot in command, is responsible for the passengers, I would imagine. But the only thing those guys try to do with those airplanes is and it's kind of a challenge for them, is to get down on the ground before the skydivers.
Oh,
you ever
really?
seen
Oh,
them?
really?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Have you ever seen them? They got these turbine-powered Beavers and de Havillands and Cessnas and with turbine engines on them. And the turbine engines have reversible pitch props that can do braking. You
Oh,
throw
wow.
that prop into reverse, and they'll be up there at 12, 13,000 feet. The skydivers are bail out and they slow that airplane down. They point that nose straight down at the ground, and you see them spiraling down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, until they get down pretty close, and when they throw it, then they level off and they land. And invariably, they would actually get down on the ground before the skydivers did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
You know
more
what's
fun to
crazy,
watch
Mitch?
them than was it skydivers.
At the school, they have you fill out all these, release forms. And I never forget one of the things
I'll bet.
they made you sign was that, God forbid you croak, you have to pay for the parachute and any kind of anything that you use from them. You still got to pay for it once you're dead. You're responsible
Yeah,
for the.
you got to pay the dry.
goodness.
You got to pay the dry cleaning bill to get the blood out of
exactly.
it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'd sign something like that, wouldn't you?
I couldn't believe that. I don't know. They really wanted to get covered, I suppose.
Yeah, they had a couple accidents up there at the land. They had a couple of guys that chutes didn't open, which is always a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have that's invariably it's going to happen when you have thousands and thousands of operations over years and years. Something's
Right.
going to screw up,
And
They had it
those
there.
chutes have to be packed a certain way, right? Like I'm sure
Oh.
there's a chute packing school, so to speak.
yeah, and I'm sure that as a jumper, that would be something that you need to learn.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sure a lot of these jumpers that I don't know about would not let anybody pack their chute except themselves. Me, I don't know how to pack a chute. I have the chute. I'm afraid this chute is so old that if I never saw the chute itself because I never had it. I never saw it opened up. Once a year, I would take it to the shop, and when I had my generally I did it when I had an annual on one of the airplanes, and they would send it off to some place that would repack the chute, certify it, put their sticker on it. Oh, lost Adrian again. And I'd get it back with a sticker that says it's good until such and such a date where it needs to be recertified again. I wore it when I flew aerobatic stuff. I flew.
They're about 35 pounds, right? 30 pounds?
I don't think they weighed that much. It might,
No?
but
Okay.
yeah. Here, oh God, I'm trying to get this thing. It's sideways. Let's get it right.
Mitch,
side up here.
rectangular or a circular parachute?
I think it was round.
Gotcha.
I think it was a round one. Like I said, I never actually had to use it, but I'll show you this picture here. This is the cockpit of my Citabria that I had. It was a aerobatic Citabria, and there you can see the parachute, the gray parachute, actually sitting on the seat.
right?
Yeah, and that's the parachute there, and the seat itself didn't have any back cushion on it. The parachute was the back cushion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean the parachute
That was
came out.
purposely
But
done that?
yeah, because you never flew this airplane without a parachute on.
Got it.
So the back seat had the seat belts, but no cushion, and the parachute became the cushion. So you climb into the seat, and you can see the strap off there. You can see the strap off
Yep.
to the right
Just to the
there.
right.
Yeah, and that's the strap from the parachute. And then you also had the 5-way harness on the seatbelt. So you'd have to climb in, sit down in the seat, harness yourself into the parachute, and then you harness yourself in with a 5-way harness into the seat of the airplane itself. Because this airplane will fly inverted, and you'd be hanging from
Yeah,
the straps. Yeah, this was this airplane here.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was a nice airplane. Super
like the
super
color.
decathlon. Yeah, and that's one of the few airplanes that I actually got that was brand new when I got it. And I flew it for about a year, and that's what would happen. Like it's like everything else, you get bored sometimes. So
Just want something different.
yeah. So I'd have an airplane for traveling. Something that goes fast and gets you from point A to point B, and then you get tired. There's only so many places you can go. So then you say, I just want to go out there and fly, have some fun. Go upside down, do some aerobatics, and then you do that. And after a while, you get tired of that. You get another traveling airplane. And over a period of years, I think I must have had a dozen or more different airplanes. And the nice thing about airplanes is they increase in value. They don't lose value like a car.
Why?
Really?
Why is that?
Well, there's just very few of them, and the prices of the new ones keep going up so much that the used ones maintain their value or go up. And virtually every airplane I ever bought, I sold for more money than I paid for it.
Nice.
And usually I made enough money on the airplanes to cover the cost of owning the airplane. Mm-hmm. So in my life, flying airplanes and owning airplanes was one of the few things I actually was able to do without costing me a lot of money. Now ask me about boats. Boats is the exact opposite. Yes. Boats are the exact opposite of airplanes.
About another 1,000.
Bring out another 1,000. Yeah. Boat.
Yeah, about another 1,000.
And speaking of, well, we weren't speaking of boats, but boats are related to fishing, and fishing
It's related to.
Art Carson.
Hey, I hope everybody can hear me okay.
I can hear you. Why?
Oh,
Just fine.
because for some reason my mixer's not working today.
Yeah, you're back on your other webcam mic or something.
Yeah, I'm on the microphone on my webcam, and I don't know what's going on. But hey, hello, Carlos and Chris.
Art.
Chris.
Hey, Art.
Chris, hey.
Yeah, you remember Chris from
From last week. Yep.
from last Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday. That's right. Hey, I wanted to show you something that came in the mail yesterday.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, the
got
Rick Halber drone.
Yeah, the Tinyhawk 2.
Okay, well we can
Better put
get
that to
you
use.
we can get you flying. In fact, that's what we're going to do Sunday night, Art. You're going to get your radio. You're going to get your radio out,
Yep.
and we're going to get that thing connected to your radio, and we're going to get you up in the air, and we're going to see if you can't fly around underneath the lid of the piano
Yeah.
and around the pole that supports the piano lid. You know what I mean? I want to see you fly. I want to see you fly around that, all around that big beautiful house that you have.
Art, do you have Beta Flight yet?
No, I don't, but I will download it soon. Yeah.
Chris is looking at that house. You do realize, Chris, that Art has got a green screen like I do.
None of that is real behind them.
None of that is.
Oh, I'm sure.
None of that is real. It's funny because it fools everybody.
Yep.
When I
Like your
I
monkey?
Yeah, like the monkey. But I can if I go in here and shut off my green screen. That's what happens. And even the back of my chair. See the back of my chair?
Yeah.
That's
Even
green.
that's green. Even that's green. So the only thing you're going to see when I turn the chroma key back on is me. The chair disappears. See?
Oh, heck yeah.
Isn't that cool?
It's magic.
Magic.
It's magic, man.
I've seen some guys doing like green screens and like moving pictures or whatnot with I think it's dang it, it's the Goon Squad's prop something that they do every Wednesday night, and they all have the different screens or whatnot and
Right.
get
Yeah,
craziness going on.
It's kind of neat, and It looks. I mean, you can make it look as real as you want. Like art steel, there looks looks very real. In fact, I thought it was real and one day I saw somebody else on YouTube that was in his house, and I said to myself, "Holy cow! Somebody broke into Art's house to do his live stream."
Yeah.
So, and come to find out that where'd you get that art off of YouTube?
No, it came with StreamYard.
Oh, it comes with StreamYards. Well, that's
Yeah.
so that's likely to be a very common background. Yeah.
Yep. I've added a couple backgrounds. I've added the one of the Georgetown Loop and the flag one that I use. for
Yeah,
my
the flag
show
one
on
is
Sunday.
cool.
Yeah.
Flag one with the waving flags is kind of cool. Yeah. But no,
I don't know
it's
if was Timeless Truth here before. If not, he has joined.
Yep.
He was here before. Okay.
well. Let's say
Yep.
hi to him anyway. How you doing?
Yeah,
my friend?
Timeless Truth's been here a bunch of times.
No, I mean tonight, because he's saying hello to everybody. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he may have just come in tonight.
Uh-oh.
Rick Halber's still here. So
Rick
boy, you got
Halber's
that
here.
drone
Hey,
fast.
Rick, I got
You got
your,
that-
yep. Thanks again, sir. And who else is here? Jody, drone shots. Bud
Everybody's
Sports in Variety. Jaybird, Ed's here.
Bud's Coins. Hey, Bud, how you doing?
Mitch, I'm going to bow out because I got to get up early tomorrow. I want to do some stuff prior. I have
All
a
right.
4:15 a.m. start.
Holy
Oh
cow!
goodness.
I didn't
I
know
gotta go
fish
into
got up that
Manhattan.
early. I didn't
Yeah,
know
going
fish
to the
got up
hospital.
that early. Wow.
I wake him up. But I'll be on the side listening in.
All right,
Chris,
buddy.
take
Good to
care,
see
Carlos.
you. Good to
We'll
see
talk
you.
soon.
Take
Yeah.
it easy.
Take
See you,
care.
Carlos.
Be good.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we even went on this long. When I came on tonight, I said, I have nothing. I got nothing.
Chris is here.
I got nothing to talk about. I could talk about the space, but nothing's happened. And to make matters worse, I decided to quit smoking cigars.
Oh.
Now, that may sound
Hmm.
like just a nothing thing.
Right.
50 years I've been smoking cigars.
Oh,
50 years I've been smoking cigars. I was in the cigar business
Hmm.
in the Dominican Republic. We had a factory. There were
Right.
times when I had a big closet in my house that was fitted out as a humidor, and I had tens of thousands of cigars in my house.
Right.
Fine cigars. Always had great cigars to smoke. Then
Does that
the
rival
then
Rush
thanks to the
Limbaugh?
federal government, they shut up. That was the end of that. The FDA got involved in
Oh boy.
in when they took up this vaping nonsense. Premium cigars got thrown into that mix, and
Oh.
they've screwed up the entire cigar business. Much like they're in the process of screwing up the drone business.
Yeah.
Any federal agency that starts with F it says it's F says it all is what,
Yeah.
what yes it does.
Yep.
FAA, FCC, FDA, all
Yep.
of them, bunch of unelected bureaucrats, and
Nothing else better to do.
that's it,
And
and
to get
trying
bored
to
and-
justify their jobs and get raises and promotions.
Yeah.
So at any rate, that was the end of the cigar business, and we decided, my partner and I, that it wasn't worth the risk to spend a lot of money, manufacture a lot of cigars, and have them held up at customs for
Right.
one reason or another. And they still, just like the drone rules, the FDA still hasn't settled after 5 years on what the real laws are going to be and how they're going to enforce them. So everybody
Right.
in that business is flying on, well, we don't know if we're going to be doing it tomorrow, but we'll keep doing it for the time being. And I just
Right.
got tired of that. So out of the cigar business I went, and then sold off. Next thing I knew, I didn't have any more cigars to smoke. So I had to start buying cigars.
Oh. Oh no.
I mean, when we made cigars, our cost for a really good premium cigar was tops $1.50, $2 a stick. These are the cigars that sell for $10, $15 in the cigar stores. And the reason they sell for $10, $15 is in the Dominican Republic, you end up making them for $1.50, but then you got to ship them here. You got to pay taxes on them coming in.
Yeah.
You got to sell them to a cigar store owner who has to double the price to make a profit. Because in retail, there's a term called keystoning, if you've ever heard that term. And keystoning means if you buy it for 5, sell it for 10. You buy it for 10, you sell it for 20. And generally, in the retail environment, that's, unless it's big ticket stuff, like cars but generally in a retail environment and in the restaurant business, your food costs cannot go over 35% of the menu price or you'll never make it.
Right.
But in retail, you can pay, say, okay, I can spend up, because you got all the overhead and employees and you got to pay rent to the store. You wonder how these stores that sell this $20 and $30 crap can stay in business with the overhead that they have.
Yep.
Oh, Adrian's back.
Yeah, I
coming and gone, huh, Adrian? Adrian.
Looks like he's home now.
There you are. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we go.
I actually just made it home, Mitch. I was driving from Gainesville to my house, and it was actually storming outside. So when I got down to my little town in Bronson, the signal got pretty bad. So when I was coming into my home, the signal just pretty much just took a dump. But I just got to the house. Now I'm back on my Wi-Fi, so I'm good now.
Okay, cool. Well, good to see you again.
Yeah.
So I was telling the story about the cigars, quitting cigars. So now I just, there have been some times I said, why, it may not be that bad for me, but I know it's not good for me. There's always a risk of, even though I've never had a problem and I never inhaled them, so, but you always, you wonder if you're addicted to them. You wonder if you wonder if you're addicted to them.
Yeah.
Out of sheer habit or whether it's a chemical. Now, I've had times where I've had to quit when I had the skin cancer on my nose removed.
Right.
They said don't smoke cigars till that heals. They didn't want the smoke or anything getting into the open.
Yeah.
So I did okay for a week or two without cigars, but I never wanted. I have no willpower. I've none. I mean, I admit it. I'm a wuss. I have no willpower. If just like that stupid candy you sent me, I said, okay, I'm going to eat one piece of this a day. Well, it lasted 5 minutes, the whole box. I can't. So the only way I can watch my diet and stay thin is not to have it in the house. If it's in the house, it'll get eaten. And the same thing with cigars. If the cigars are here, I'm going to smoke them. End of story. So a week ago, six days ago, I ran out of cigars, and there's a local cigar store here in town, and he's got. When we were in business, we used to make his house label cigars. So he used to be a customer of mine, and there's a cigar that we used to sell him for about $1 a stick, $25 for a bundle. They're called Cuban sandwiches. What they're made of is they're not long leaf filler. They're made up of the scraps of filler that are cut off. They're okay, but they're not like a hand-rolled long-leaf cigar. Yeah. They are hand-rolled, but they're called Cuban sandwiches. So he sells a bundle of them now for $50 that he buys from somebody for $25, like we used to sell. And they're not too bad, but they're cheap cigars. They're not really like a good fine premium. So for the past couple months, I've been buying these cigars from him. But I'm spending a couple $100 a month on cigars. Well, if you're a cigarette smoker, a couple $100 doesn't get you very far these days either.
Yeah, that's true.
And the kind of cigars I like to smoke are the ones that they sell retail for $10, $15. which I can get mail order for $4 to $6 to $7 a stick. But you start
Right.
smoking three of them a day, you're a $20 a day habit. You know, now we're talking heroin and cocaine. You know,
Yeah,
we're
they're-
talking $600 a month for cigars. And I finally said, you know what? I ran out of cigars. The guy who owns the shop is a Canadian guy who's liberal as the day is long and sits in the shop all day, watches CNN and badmouths Trump. And every time I go in there, it just pisses me off completely. So I said to him, I said to myself, you know what? I ain't giving him any more of my money. To hell with him. And CNN. I'm quitting. So, you know, it's like cutting off your nose to spite your face, basically. I said, okay, I'm quitting. And that was 6 days ago. And I haven't smoked a cigar in 6 days.
Good for you.
Hey, Mitch, can I show you
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. You got to show me a cigar.
Yeah, nice hat, dude.
What is it? Hold on a second.
Trump
Let me make.
2020.
All right.
Keep
Yes,
America
sir.
Great.
Good for you, man. Well, I
Yeah.
make no bones. We make no bones, most of us, about how we feel. And the more crap that keeps coming out, the more I realize I'm on the right side of things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
And the thing is, Mitch, at my job, I've been there for 15 years and counting, and I've never had a problem with any hats or anything that I wear to cover my head, because I'm a truck driver and I work for the garbage company, so I'm outside throughout the whole day, you know. And I would wear basketball hats, NFL, college, you know, anything. Nobody will bother me. And again, 15 years, Mitch. Finally, I started wearing this hat. All of a sudden, 3 managers start crapping on me, just running their mouth about it. Next
Really?
thing you know, a month after, the general manager tells me I'm not allowed to wear my hat anymore. So
Oh, that's
I told him,
bullshit.
I told him, but wait a minute. If I'm not allowed to wear my hat, then I don't want to see you or anybody else wearing any other hat. I mean, how will that work? Well, finally, long story short, they're talking about if you do not wear a hat that has the company logo, you're not allowed to wear it, period.
well, you know, they can probably enforce that if everybody is required as part of your employment to wear a uniform.
It's not the uniform, yes. The head or the facial covering, like now we have to use the mask. You know, no. But again, the whole time I wear any other type of hat, nobody told me nothing about it. But when I started wearing my Trump hat, Mitch, then all of a sudden they have a problem with it.
Well, they're scared to death for some
Yeah.
reason. Everything that he's doing is benefiting them, but for some reason they're scared to death because they buy into this crap out there. And that's another thing. So,
And this is my other one. This is my other one that I will wear too. This
Ah, that's cool.
well,
Camel.
you've all seen my garden gnome here.
Yep.
yeah, I like
Yep.
that.
You know, so I was telling you this cigar story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Bill, Metro Drones, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat.
All right,
And welcome.
all right, Mitch. Tell us how does smoking?
Okay, so
Cigars,
I haven't
maybe.
smoked. Here's the thing. I don't work. The weather's sucked. Haven't been able to fly. If you smoke 3-4 cigars a day, that's about an hour to an hour and a half a cigar. So that accounts for 4, 5, 6 hours a day of your time. And part of my day and my daily routine, you've seen me go out to my back porch, turn on the TV, fire up a cigar, watch YouTube, watch something, but do it outside. So now, I tried going outside. It's not the same without the cigar.
Without the cigar.
So
cigar.
one of my main activities that I had to keep me busy was smoking a cigar. It was something to
there
do.
You go.
I'm also on a diet now because
Mm.
I had gained about 15 pounds because I started eating too many sweets. I think it started when Art Carlson sent me the candy.
So it's your
But
fault.
It is, but I can get used to that stuff. So so I decided to go back on my regular way that I eat, which is the ketogenic paleo type diet, mostly protein, fat, very little carbs. So I'm not eating anything that really does it for me. No more bagels, no more, no bread, no pasta, none of that good, carbohydrate shit. I'm not smoking cigars. I'm going nuts, honest to God, and so I was really looking forward to this live stream tonight, just for the sheer fact of give me something to do, and then I said, well, I got nothing to talk about. Jaybird, thank you, my friend. Jaybird Drones, little super chat there, $5. Thank you so much.
I do have a question.
Thank you,
for
my friend.
Chris, do you fly drones?
Yes, sir.
Oh man,
Okay.
Chris flies FPV, man. We played one of his. He's good.
Now, do I have you subscribed to my channel? I think I do, or do I?
I just subbed.
Okay, good. Okay. What I'm gonna do is in a little bit, I'm about to take a shower. When I get into my stuff, I'm gonna sub right back to you. So that way we can do show support.
Yeah,
I
and
think
look at some of his videos, because he's an up and coming. He's a good pilot. Good,
Are you also in Florida?
good pilot. He's in Tampa.
I'm in Wesley Chapel, just I think an hour and a half south of you.
Okay, good. Okay. Good.
Where are
Hey,
you? Where are you, Adrian? You're up in.
I'm in Bronson between Chiefland and Williston.
I know exactly where you are. You're near Lake Weir, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Not too far from there. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, what I was telling Jim, Mitch, that you, myself, and him, we need to get together and go ahead and fly.
We all need to have a get together, and we need to find some place like halfway for everybody. Someplace out where you flew, that college building out there. It's at Route 27 and I-4, right smack in the middle of the state. You know where that is, Adrian?
Not really, but I'm sure that I can find. I got a pretty good GPS on my phone.
Yeah, Route 20.
I'm
Yeah,
sure that
but
you'll find it.
we really should try to put that together. Rick Halber, thank you so much, my friend. Rick Halber with a $10 super chat. You give so much to all of us, and you just keep doing it. So we love you, buddy. Hope you're feeling well. But yeah, we get everybody. We even get all the Tampa crew too. We get Dan and
Drum worship. Yep.
yeah, we get the whole friggin' crew. Make a day out of it, or even a
And Jim?
weekend is somewhere. If we all get together and get a cheap hotel, everybody could get a cheap hotel room. Make a weekend out of it. That'd be
Yes.
something.
So, what about you? Where you at?
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Dave's just down the
okay.
road.
You
Just
don't
down the
need to
road.
Don't worry about it.
Just a 5 or 10 day drive. That's all. No big deal.
That's fine.
Actually, I've been there before, because I used to drive trucks over the road. I used to do 48 state.
Right?
So Denver, Colorado was like one of my main terminals that I had to go to just about every Friday.
Oh, cool. Cool.
So-
Great.
Say hi to Nathaniel Lee has come into the chat. Hello, my friend. Good to see you.
And
So hey, Mitch and everybody, I'm about to go ahead and jump in the shower. I will jump in about.
Don't jump
me
too
about 20
high.
minutes. So give me about 20 minutes.
okay.
All right, we're going to be. We got about 25 minutes, and then we're going to be seating to Ken Heron. So if you don't make it back, I'll see you the next time. But we'll make some plans.
Yes, sir.
To have a get together. I'll start to try to work on a place, someplace where
Okay.
we might be able to. So, but I know exactly where you are.
Okay. And
Yeah,
matter
up
of
there.
fact- And matter of fact, Mitch, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna email you my phone number. That way you can actually get in contact with me. And if you don't mind, hey Chris, can Mitch send me your email address? That way you can get in contact. Also, is that all right with you?
Oh, absolutely.
I friended you on Facebook, so we can just chat on Messenger or whatever.
There you go. All right, no problem.
All right, good deal. Good to see you,
Hey,
Adrian.
Mitch,
Thanks for
having
coming
me.
in, buddy.
All right. Wait, I'll holler at
Take
you
care,
later, Bob.
Adrian.
Take care. Always good to see you. And I like it. Another reason I like Adrian is because has another gorgeous bald head like some of the rest of us.
Well, you mentioned Route 27. That goes right through the center of Michigan.
US
Before-
27.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it
It
goes
goes-
right down the center of the state in Florida.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
cuts Florida
Yeah.
right in half on the east and west side. And
Yeah. Yeah, before the interstate, it was like the main road going to Michigan to Florida.
Yeah.
And yeah, I used to take that route up to Mount Pleasant, Michigan, where I was planning to go to Central Michigan University. And then my folks decided we're moving back to Denver.
and there
So-
you are in Denver.
And here I am.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, when I lived in Michigan, I went to a community college, and I was part of the baseball team as their equipment manager. And we did a spring outing down at Hillsborough Community College in the Tampa area. So, and it was right at the time when all the major leaguers were doing spring training, and one of our former high school classmates came by, and he actually made it to the pros. He played 9 years in pro and got a World Series ring to boot. And yeah, he was part of that Los Angeles Dodgers team with Kirk Gibson back in the I keep forgetting Mitch is not a sports guy. So he's like, oh.
No, but that's okay. Everybody else might be interested. No, not a sports
Yeah.
fan.
I'm not as big into sports as I used to be. You know, I think pro sports has changed a lot. You know, a lot of the people that gotten into sports, I don't care for their character. They're not, I don't know, it just seems like a different class of, I don't know if I want to say class, but just the way
It's
they
a different
carry-
it's a different culture than it used
Yeah,
to be.
culture.
But everything everything in this country
Yeah.
has changed. So
Mhm.
what are you going to? That's the one thing you can be sure of is nothing. There is no normal. The word
Yeah.
normal is a misnomer.
Mhm.
There's only things are like this now. In the change from here to there, somewhere in
Yeah.
the way, that's that. You know, you can pick any place you want when things are changing and say, well, that's normal. But there
Yeah.
really is there's no normal sea level. You know, they say normal sea level. Well, you know, 10,000 years ago, sea level was way different than it is, and it'll be way different 10,000 years from now.
That's true.
So who's to say at what point in that 20,000 year span is quote normal? So
Yep. That
we
is-
we like to think that normal is the way it is right now. We want it to
Normal-ish.
stay that way. We want it to stay that way.
Normal-ish.
Yeah,
normal
normalish.
is- Yeah.
But it doesn't stay that way.
I'm
Now
like,
and
yeah, every day I'm like, when are we going to get rid of the mask at work? I hate wearing the mask at work. I have to wear it all day, and I feel like I'm being smothered. You know,
yeah, and
Have-
whether you need it, if you're still keeping your distance from people,
Oh,
you
yeah.
shouldn't really, you know, unless somebody's sneezing their head off.
yeah,
But it's the new normal. See,
yeah,
normal.
the-
It isn't enough. It isn't enough that we got normal.
yeah,
Now we got a new normal. You
yeah.
know?
New improved
as a
normal.
new improved normal, as
Hey,
opposed to the
mask.
old normal. You know.
Rubber gloves.
2.0.
optional.
Yeah, normal. There you go, Chris. Normal 2.0. Very good. Yeah,
Normal.
normal 2.0. And I just read that in Japan
Oh God,
they didn't shut anything down.
yeah.
They've had a grand total of 800 something deaths from this bug, and they're just going about their business.
Oh,
They're wearing masks, a lot of them, but hell, they've always worn masks in Japan.
that's
Yeah.
true. And they are the cleanest people on the planet.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I mean,
I remember one time. Oh, this is like 25 years ago when I went through Japan to go to do a USO type show, and I was at one of the restaurants in the airport, and I gave the cashier some money. Well, it was like a really used dollar bill, and she picked it up like, ew, like it's contaminated or something because it been really used a lot, and it's kind of dirty, and it's not a crisp brand new bill, but it was like the way she held it was like,
well, but you got to
like
figure
it was
that.
a dirty diaper or something.
Well, but you got to figure that there are probably very few things as unsanitary as money, as cash,
Oh, that's
because
the-
everybody and their brothers
dirtiest.
handling it.
Yeah.
That's the dirtiest thing.
Yeah. So, now we all use credit cards, but you pull out cash, they look at you. Now you pull out cash, they look at you like you're a criminal. Are you a drug? You must be a drug dealer using cash.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's some places won't even take cash.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and I argue with him. I says right here on the money, says this is good for all debts, public and private. It says right
Yeah.
here on the money. We don't take cash.
Yep.
Where's that?
Well, there are the community where I live will not take cash for the rent every month. You can't pay in cash. They won't let you. They won't take it.
Wow.
You walk in there with a handful of cash. So here's my rent. They'll say, bring back a
Money
check. So I don't have
order.
any checks. Well, then we're going to throw you out of here for not paying the rent. I said, well, I am paying the rent right here, cash. We don't take cash, and the reason they don't take cash is because they don't want to have to store it and guard it and carry it to the bank.
Yeah, that's yeah. Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't argue with them. I don't care, but I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of places that.
Yeah, I think that's the same here where I live at my apartment. I think it's either you do it online or you pay with money order.
Well, here in this community, they'll let you do it online, but then they charge you a fee, a convenience fee. And I said, no way I'm paying you I'm not going to pay you a convenience fee to pay what I owe you.
Yeah,
So I write a check. They have a drop box in front of the office.
Yeah,
I live in
yeah,
a manufactured home community, so I have what's in essence is lot rent. I own the house,
right.
but I have to pay rent on the land,
Uh,
and of course that also covers all the amenities and the tennis courts and the swimming pools and the gym and
HOA kind of fees. Yeah,
yeah, all that other crap is included.
Yeah.
So I pay that once a month, and everybody says, well, that's got to be an expensive place to live, and it's not. It's actually the cheapest place I can live on the planet Earth, and live in a house that's almost 2,000 square feet with
Right.
3 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms. You've seen my
Right.
house. You've seen my drone
Yeah.
flying around. This place
Yeah.
is huge inside.
Yeah.
And it sits apart from everybody else's. I don't have people above me, below me, alongside me.
Right.
It's quiet. It's nice. And I live here. I own the house. I bought the house when I moved in here for cash. So I own the house, and my total living expenses are less than $1,000 a month in here.
Oh wow.
That includes my house, my electric, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I pay an electric bill, but it costs me less than $1,000 a month to live in a 2,000 square foot house that I own.
Wow.
And everybody says, well, the rent's awful high. Well, it's not really when you stop to think about it. I have no mortgage, so I can't, at my age and being retired, I can't live anywhere cheaper than this and live like I live. So I'm happy
Yeah.
with it. I live around, it's mostly, it's what they call an age qualified community. So
Right.
people here over 55.
55.
So I don't have
yeah.
I don't have all the screaming kids and skateboarders and all that crap, and it's okay. I mean,
Wait till I move there. I'll be playing. I'll be
There goes the
Three.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Well,
Breaking the law, breaking the law. Dun, dun, dun.
property
Yeah.
tax went down.
Yeah, and we don't pay property taxes here or anything like
Oh,
Oh,
that.
that's true. That's
Yeah, I don't pay property taxes. And, I mean, and property taxes in Florida. When I had my company and I had a lot of money, and the house that I lived in, my property taxes were $12,000 a year. So that was a grand a month just for property tax. You talk about throwing money away. It was crazy. But
Wow.
so, but they won't take cash. They will not accept
wow.
cash, which is
Yep,
it's
yep.
just crazy.
Yeah.
Buds Coins, take care, roll along. All right, my friend, thanks for coming
All
in.
right, take care, Buds.
Also, I missed saying hi. Nathaniel Lee is here, and Ludsat1 said hi to you in the chat, but I want to
Yep.
acknowledge your presence.
Hello,
Thanks for coming
what's
in.
that?
Thanks for coming in.
Hello, Nathaniel, and
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left. It was a nice little show. Like I said, I had nothing. I had nothing. I had nothing. I come on, I play my intro, you know. He's an old guy. He's got a drone. You like my intro, Art?
yeah, I like that. That's
He's old guy and a drone. Yay! I found a fanfare with kazoos. Did you notice that? That was the fanfare was a kazoo band with those little
No.
kazoos, you know, that you blow into. And I put that together in Premiere Pro.
Oh, nice.
It was very, very simple.
Uh-huh. Cool.
It looks more complicated than it was.
Right.
I used a lens flare effect,
Oh,
which is how I got all those light circles moving
right.
around.
Yep. Yep.
Repeated it
That's
3
pretty
different
cool.
times. I
Yeah.
had a little snappy drum thing, put that in there, repeated it 3 times through the. Yeah, I think it took me 10 minutes to throw that together. Now, if you do those things in After Effects, animations, you could take days doing something like that.
Yeah.
It depends how fancy you want to be. I didn't particularly want to be that fancy, but I did want an intro, and there's a purpose for that, Art, and you might want an intro too. And that is, when I do my countdown before the show, I'm playing a video.
Yeah, I
and
saw
and
that. Yeah.
And I'm playing music, you know,
Yep.
my music, which
Yep.
comes through my mixer. But I keep my microphone off.
Mm-hmm.
So any noise that I make while that countdown is playing, nobody will hear. So when the countdown ends, on my Stream Deck, I have a button that says intro. And I push the button that says intro, and it starts playing that. And I know I've got about 20 or 30 seconds to turn my microphone on, stop the countdown, do a couple tiny little housekeeping
Yeah.
tasks, and get ready for this thing, because after it plays the intro, it automatically switches the camera to this scene right here. So it happens automatically. Once I press that intro button, it plays the intro and then dumps me right to this scene, and it
Right.
works out pretty good. So
Cool.
it's good to have an intro like that on
Yep.
your live streams, because it gives you a chance. And the reason I always go live before the scheduled time, you notice most people, when they say their stream starts at, say, 6, they'll go, like Lloyd and Mel, at 6 o'clock they start their countdown,
Yeah.
their 5-minute countdown.
Right.
And what I do is, at 7 or 8 minutes before 6 o'clock,
Right.
I actually go live. And the countdown is set to expire exactly at 6 o'clock.
Ah. Okay. Might have
And
to try
I
that.
have a program called Snaz. And what Snaz looks like, I'm going to show you this. because we don't have enough time to get into too many other things, so we'll get into this a little bit. What snaz looks like is this, and it just is a timer. And what I do is
Oh, yeah.
it says live at whatever time, and here's the date, 28. It puts the day first, then the month, and
Yeah.
the time, and then I hit start.
Right.
Okay, so if we're looking at my countdown window, which is here,
Right.
now it just so happens that this monitor where I'm displaying the snaz stuff is what shows up in the window.
Oh.
So
okay.
when I play a video, it shows up in the window. Right now, I'm using this right monitor, and it so happens it shows up there. So when I click this start button, it's going to tell me can't start because that already happened. 6 o'clock today is over. But if I change this time to start today to 2100, which is 9 o'clock, and say start, I get my timer that says live in
Okay.
8 minutes 53 seconds. Now,
That's
I don't display the hours in this because the largest countdown I'm ever going to do is 7 or 8 minutes. But if I
Yeah.
had the hours displayed, it would say live in 1 hour, 8 minutes and 37 seconds. So no matter what time I actually hit the go live button, this thing has got my timeout, my timer set to end exactly at this time on the second. So that's how come my stream is always so punctual, where the clock
Right.
hits 6 o'clock and the countdown ends exactly. It's because I use this timer called snaz. And then in OBS, you can import the output of this into
Right.
a text line, and you get your countdown timer. So if I were to go in here and add 5 minutes to this, you see it just jumped 5 minutes on the timer.
Okay.
And it's that simple. And the reason that I start my stream, the reason that I start it 7 or 8 minutes early, is that way I have a chance to go into the control room, check out the stream quality, make sure that it's not all fuzzy and it's working.
Right.
It gives me a chance to let everything settle down. It sends out the notice to people,
Right.
the notification, so people will start coming in and start chatting in the chat room, and it seems to work out better. And for those people who know that I start at 6 and want to come in at 6, that's fine. They're not going to miss anything, and they're not going to have to
Right.
sit through 5 minutes of a countdown if they don't
Oh,
want
okay.
to. So there's
Yeah,
something
that's good.
you might want to think about.
Yeah, I'll do that with my show on Sundays or on the Saturday show.
Yeah,
well.
because if you have an hour show, for example,
Right.
and I love Lloyd, but I don't tune into Lloyd's show generally until 10 minutes after it starts,
Right.
because the first 5 minutes is
Housekeeping.
countdown.
Yeah.
The next 3 or 4 minutes is
Yeah.
I'm running for president commercials,
Yeah.
and then he comes live, and then he gets Mel in there. By the time they actually start to do something, it's already 10 after.
Yeah, that's true. That's
You know
good
what I mean?
point. Good point.
Whereas when you look at Ken Heeeere, he starts his countdown 5 minutes before
That's right. That's right.
the hour. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that starting your countdown before the time you say your show starts
Right.
is considerate. It's a considerate thing to do.
Yeah.
That way,
okay.
if people want to come in early and
That's a
chat in
good
the
point.
chat room and talk and say hi to each other,
Yeah.
they can do it. It's like coming into a show before the lights start blinking. You want to get into the set, get your seat, talk to your neighbors a little while before the show starts. That's fine.
Mhm.
But if you want to get there right on time, you can.
Mhm.
It's your option. So that's how I do that.
Right.
All right,
So
gentlemen.
Drone
I
Kings
gotta,
in Darwin, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you from around the world down under. And I think, Art, that we're going to
Yes.
let you be excused,
Thank you very
so
much.
you can
sir.
jump into Ken's countdown. Just for all the reasons we just talked about.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. It's always a blast being on your show.
Always fun.
And so I will definitely see you Sunday. Hopefully you'll pop in to my show.
Yeah,
on
I'll come
Saturday.
and Saturday. Yeah, now that I'm not outside smoking cigars, I got nothing to do.
There you
now.
go.
Yeah, I need to.
Give you
I need
something to
to.
do. All right. Take care.
All right, buddy.
See you later.
Take
All
care.
right, Mr. Art.
See you, Chris.
Good to
Take
see
care.
you.
See you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, Mr. Mitch, I got to jump off as well. Mama's serving up plates.
All right, man. Hey, listen. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. I hope you had a good time.
To see you as well. Thank you for
Hope
having
you had
me.
a good- My pleasure. We will get together at some time here in the next month or two. I'll try to put something together for us here in Florida and have a like he has out in Spin Up out there in Texas, where all the drone flyers come out. We'll see if we can't put together a little Florida version of that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, definitely. Sign me up for that. That'll be fun.
All right. Well, take care. We'll see you the next
All right.
time.
See y'all in the
Okay.
chat.
All right, Chris. Thanks for coming in.
All right, bye.
Bye. Okay. Well, that was nice. Nice to have Chris in here and Art and Carlos. And lest us not forget, Adrian was in here for a while. And I appreciate all you guys that come in here and help keep me company, especially when I got nothing like I had tonight. So I appreciate it. All the guys, super chats. Thanks so much again, guys. I appreciate that. And Jaybird, you have a good night too, my friend. Rick Halber, thanks for coming in. Always good to see you. And if I don't see you before, I'll see you on Sunday. Art, thanks for coming in. Stingray, thanks for being here. Drone Kings in Darwin, you got here a little towards the end, but thanks for coming in. I know it's morning over there. Have a great day tomorrow. Who else we got? Bud's Coins was in here. Chris was in here. And Nathaniel Lee. Going back here. Michigan Adventures, if you're still here. Ludset, thanks for coming in, my friend. Good to see you. Ron Lockwood was here. Anyway, if I missed your name, thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed having you. And with that, give myself a little exit music. As usual, guys, you can go ahead and take the rest of the day off. Get out and play with your drones. And have a great weekend. Have a great day. And I will see you on Sunday at 8 o'clock in the workshop. And if not, see you in some of the chat rooms before that. And with that, I'll turn it over to my trusty sidekick, Spank, the monkey, and we'll let Spank say goodnight.